What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here today to talk a little bit of baseball. Little bit of baseball. Talking MVPs, little Mookie Betts, little Elly De La Cruz, a little make this make sense to an outsider. You know, I kind of understand what we're going to talk about today. Like, I get it. You know, I'm probably part of the problem. But to someone that doesn't know anything about buying and selling cards, I would like you to try to explain this situation to them as an outsider. And I have a general idea of, you know, what causes this. It's nothing new. This has been the way forever now. But I just kind of want to give this as a good example as to sometimes we just all need to sit back and question what the hell are we all doing here. Mookie Betts. Fantastic season. If you haven't been paying attention, boy, oh boy, those MVP Topps buyback cards have been on quite the roller coaster ride recently. Everyone said Acuna and Ohtani was winning the MVPs. Then Ohtani hurt his elbow. Good chance to still win the MVP. Acuna is now not even the favorite. Mookie Betts has surpassed him. Freddie Freeman's still lurking a little bit, though probably more of a long shot. But it's really kind of down to Mookie and Acuna at the moment. And like I said, I'll put Freddie Freeman in there as well. The AL, like I said, I still think it's Ohtani unless he does something that he's completely out for the last month of the season. And even then, he still may have a decent chance to win it. So, and where we're going with this is we're going to look at Mookie's prices compared to another exciting young prospect, shall we say, in the market. Here's Mookie's current numbers this year. Like I said, contending for his second MVP. Already has an MVP. If we kind of just scroll down here, this is on his baseball reference page. Dude just has a boatload of awards. 7 All-Star games, AL MVP, decent shot to win an MVP this year, AL batting title, Silver Slugger awards, 6 Gold Gloves, the whole 9 yards. Ninth in active WAR, 207th in career. He's only 30 years old, still has ways to go, still has plenty of legs left. Could still have a very long career, though it does seem like hitters lately have been falling apart in their mid to late 30s a little bit more frequently lately. We'll see what happens to him, but regardless, still has some tread on that tire. I believe when I looked, what's he at home run and career hits wise? He was at about 250 home runs and about 1,500 career hits, if my memory is correct. Yeah, 1,460 career hits, 249 home runs. Someone that is much better at math can project that out for me on what his reasonable numbers are. Regardless, well on his way to a Hall of Fame career. Now, what if I told you? What do you think his first Bowman, base, not refractor, first Bowman auto, PSA 10 sells for? What do you think that sells for? And is it more? And if you follow my social media posts, you know the answers to these questions already. Is it more or less than newcomer on the block, super exciting player, has electrified the state of Ohio and most of baseball, Elly De La Cruz? Super exciting. He's been great, been a man on fire since coming up. Got a little bit cold streaks, a little bit hot streaks, a little bit, got a little bit high strikeout right there for a hot minute. But regardless, a super exciting young player to watch play baseball. If I told you today, Elly De La Cruz investor, I'm gonna guarantee, I will guarantee you right now, by the time Elly De La Cruz is 30, he will have Mookie Betts numbers. Now, maybe you could argue maybe he's going to steal more bases, whatever. Let's not get too into the weeds here. You get the overall point on where I'm going here. Elly De La Cruz investor, you have all these great first Bowman PSA 10s. You're knocking it out of the park. I will guarantee you he will have Mookie Betts' career. You'd probably sign up for that in 2.3 seconds. Sure, yeah, Mookie Betts is fantastic. MVP, all these awards, having a great career, going to win a second MVP possibly. This is great. Yeah, sure, sign me up. Now, what do you think a Mookie Betts PSA 10 first Bowman auto sells for compared to an Elly De La Cruz Bowman PSA 10 auto? Might have some other players on here, but let's focus in on those two. Mookie Betts, PSA 10, Bowman prospect, pop, just under 200, 1.3K. Elly De La Cruz, pop, 166, so not that far off, 1.44. Elly De La Cruz sells for more than Mookie Betts on his first Bowman auto. Do you, my key question here is, of this whole thing, do you agree with that or do you disagree with that? Is Elly too expensive? Is Mookie too cheap? Or is that correct? Does that make sense? Should Elly be selling for more than Mookie? And it's not like, once again, Mookie not having a bad season at all, having a fantastic year. Elly been absolutely electric. I get it. He's exciting. He's young. He's the great unknown. And that's the whole crux. The great unknown. As soon as these guys become known, you could apply this to any sport really, but we're just using baseball here. Once these guys become known, their prices typically decrease. Even if they're pretty good. These charts that I have up here, these are going from April 1st through today. So essentially the entire, or a decent portion of the MLB season, basically pretty much capturing the whole MLB season. Elly De La Cruz, PSA 10, first Bowman. These are all first Bowman, just base chrome autos. PSA 10 is up 98%, 96% since the beginning of the season. Mookie Betts, playing like a man on fire, having a fantastic year, down 0.04, basically flat. He is having an MVP caliber year, and his cards have not gone up. Julio Rodriguez, actually, if you would have ran this about a week ago, he would have been deep into the red. He has rebounded. If I scrolled up and you saw the graph, it just looks like a big old U shape. He's the yellow line right here. You can see at the beginning of the season, just under 2K. Dipped pretty far down, all the way down to 1K, actually, is one sale there, 1,000. He is now back up to 1,800. He's been actually playing really, really well the last couple of weeks. Bobby Witt Jr. having a very strong second half of the season. Pretty good season overall. He is down 40%, 37.5%. Ronald Acuna Jr. was the MVP leader. Super popular player on a super popular team. Tons of hype behind him. He's up only 14% after having an absolutely fantastic year. Corbin Carroll, Rookie of the Year, most likely in the NL, probably by a runaway. Having an absolutely fantastic year for the Arizona Diamondbacks. PSA 10, first Bowman Chrome auto, up 121%. So what do we notice there? The new kids on the block are up 1,000,000,000%. Everybody else is down. Now, there's a couple reasons for this, and there's actually probably more than a couple. I'm going to run with the few that I think, and you can all agree or disagree with me, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in the comments down below. The way that this typically goes is the hype cycle kicks in. They're the new exciting, and like I said, the great unknown. We are heading into the great unknown. I believe that is something from Frozen, though I am not 100% sure. Hashtag Disney Lorcana. We're heading into the great unknown, and the world is these players' oyster. They could do no wrong. They're going to have 5,000 home runs. They're going to get 65,000 hits. They're the second coming of Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Cal Ripken Jr., all of them all combined into one player. Throw Roger Clemens into the mix if you're Shohei Ohtani and Nolan Ryan. We get a year of him. We get this cloud 9 year of these guys can do no wrong. They get an off season. The second season rolls around, and more often than not, it feels like they take a hit. Couple reasons. This is my theory. One, the shine comes off. The next guy's coming through the pipe, and he's on cloud 9, and he is the next best thing. I've talked about this before a lot with my good buddy Filmington and a few other people, that it feels like the baseball market in general can only stay focused on a handful of players. And they stay in the limelight for a couple years, And then they just kind of drift backwards, even if they're still actually pretty good. Prior to this, it was like Vladimir Guerrero, Lou Bob, Bo Bichette, all those sorts of guys. Tatis was on that list. Obviously, he had his thing happen. Wander Franco, oops. But I mean, take their off the field stuff out of it. You get the picture. They quickly got replaced by the likes of J-Rod and Witt, and now they got replaced by Elly De La Cruz and Corbin Carroll. So year 2 comes along, the shine comes off a little bit, the next new shiny toy is coming down the street. Now, some of these guys keep going up. There is exceptions to this rule. Juan Soto went way up for a couple of years and then eventually pulled back. I think the other thing that happens for the average, the medium of these players, not the super crazy ones that go absolutely nuts and not the ones that completely tank, but guys like Witt and J-Rod, etc., that are having really good years, but it's not good enough. We always talk about it. Expectations meet reality, and reality does not live up to the expectations, even if the reality is pretty good. The second thing that I think that happens, and this is kind of anecdotal, specifically around the first Bowman autos, you have to remember, the first year these guys come on the scene, that's their only real card that everybody wants, most of the time. Not always. But for the most part, that is the main chase for at least a bulk of the season, if not the entire year, especially the way Topps is playing games with putting rookie cards in products. Sometimes it's the whole year and then some. But everyone runs to that first Bowman card in some way, shape, or form, whether it's the base auto, the refractor, the mojo, the swirly do, whatever it is. People want that first Bowman logo up in the corner and chrome somewhere on it, and they're happy. After they've been in the league for a year, now we start to get the tidal wave of other shiny pieces of cardboard. Topps Chrome comes out. Topps Finest comes out. Topps Chrome Black comes out. Topps Base comes out. Series 1, Series 2, Update, Sapphire, this, that, the other thing, Update Sapphire, Logo Fractors, Cosmics, Taco Fractors, Frozen Fractors. The whole 9 yards start coming at us. At some point in time, that has to hurt the sanctity of the first Bowman. Now, the first Bowman's always going to be the first Bowman. It will always be its thing. But now, all of a sudden, you have a little bit of competition. It doesn't need to take much money out of the Elly De La Cruz market or whatever player you want to talk about here to all of a sudden, if just there's X pool of dollars in that player and you start shifting a little bit out of it to chase all these other new shiny things, that's going to suck some of that money away, at least a little bit. So those are my 2 theories, is the Eye of Sauron can only stay focused on these groups of young players for a couple of years. Every once in a while, there will be one that transcends. Juan Soto did for a hot minute, but guess what? His stuff is just as down as everybody else's. Ronald Acuna was heading that direction, tore his ACL, and has kind of rebounded to kind of get back in that limelight and kind of staying in it. But even him, once again, having an MVP level season. He has like 457 stolen bases or something crazy. He's only up 14% on the year. And I get, I don't think we could use the whole down market thing anymore. Yes, have prices still continued to trend down on a lot of stuff? Sure. But we're looking at a 4.5 month, a 5 month sample size. Back in April, most prices we've kind of settled in for the most part. It's not like I'm looking at a 3-year chart where I'm saying, let's go back to peak pricing of 2021. Of course, everything's going to be way down. We're going back 5 months. Yeah, some stuff has shifted down. A lot of stuff has shifted down for sure. But we haven't seen the big 50, 60, 70% drops like we did if we ran this thing back a couple of years. I get that. I just think you have these limited windows of the player gets called up. There's that first year of euphoria. And you could use that first year to your advantage. The second year rolls around. And I think you'd almost be better off to just kind of sit on the sidelines and wait. Look at J-Rod. Perfect example. You could have sold J-Rods last year for a boatload of money. And J-Rod was absolutely amazing. I love J-Rod. Fantastic. I have a lot of 2022 wax sitting behind me. Great player. He started this season off very slow. His prices came way down. You could have slid right back into those DMs on J-Rod, gobbled him up, said, hey, come over Netflix and chill, buddy. And now look, we're at the back half of the season. Maybe J-Rod actually is a pretty talented player. Maybe he just had a slow start to the year, a little sophomore slump, and now he's on his way back and his prices are swinging back up again. Would you be shocked if we sat here this time next year and we're having a very similar discussion around Elly De La Cruz? Hey, his first Bowman come out, he's great, he's the next great thing. I'm sure there's already people in the comments telling me how he's this, that, XYZ thing that's going to be different than all these other guys, and he's the second or third coming of insert whatever big name player you want here. But guess what? He's going to be hyped as hell all offseason. The Reds are going to be super trendy going in the next year because they're super young. They're going to close the season strong potentially. Maybe they get into the playoffs. Maybe they don't. Maybe they have this exciting finish to the season. All the hype's going to be on them going into next year. If he struggles at all, what's going to happen to his prices? They are going to come down. What's the other thing that's going to happen next year? You can guarantee Fanatics is going to print the hell out of him. And I don't mean to pick on Elly De La Cruz in this video. It's just purposely, it's the easiest example because it's right there. And if you're in doubt on that, go back to the very beginning of the video. Mookie Betts, who's had an absolutely outstanding Major League Baseball career, played in the two biggest markets that we have, Boston and the Dodgers. Two massive markets, super popular teams, MVP level seasons, and he sells for less than Elly De La Cruz. Make it make sense, folks. That's all I got for you, boys and girls. Catch you on the next one. Peace.